6 surgeons, 4 locations, 1 goal: to improve the health and lives of people in Oklahoma. At Oral and Maxillofacial Associates, we treat every patient like family. As the preferred dental implant and oral surgery specialist of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and with over 30 years of service to our community, we are trusted by professionals and dedicated to expert care. With 4 convenient locations around the metro area, we are here for you. Trust the experts at OMA. Visit our website, www.omaok.com.
Hello and welcome, football fans, to the Skordle Pater Pick'em Show. I am your host tonight, Andy Campbell, and I am joined, as always, by Tom Nelson and Mark Rogers, the voices of Skordle, and Jacob Diesehorst. Our 2 special guests tonight, we have Lane Jones and Dr. Eric Johnson. We've had Lane on the show many times, former coach and athletic director in Oklahoma, but now he spends his days owning and operating HTO locations around the state, and especially in the metro area. Lane, welcome back. Good to have you on the show. Looking forward to your game picks and your food picks tonight.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here. I'm only here for the food picks because my knowledge of high school football is I stay in my lane. So I'm glad to be here.
Our second guest, as I mentioned earlier, Dr. Eric Johnson. Eric is an orthopedic surgeon at OSSO in Oklahoma City. Eric is a 2006 graduate of OCS High School and spent his high school days passing to a ball named Blake Griffin, who went on to have a decent career in college and the NBA. So, Eric, Dr. Johnson, good to have you on the show. Welcome. Looking forward to getting your picks tonight. We have 2 Skordle games of the week this week. Eric's OCS squad will be at Chisholm, and Hilldale will be at Salisal in our second game of the week. We'll be talking about those in just a few minutes. We're going to discuss our 8 network games that will be free to watch on the Skordle Network for the best out-of-network games in the state this week. And so let's go ahead and get started. We'll go to Pick'em game number 1. We're going to start the show in Class 3A District 1 with Pauls Valley traveling to Kingfisher to take on the Yellow Jackets. Pauls Valley has really struggled offensively this season, scoring only 13 points total in its 3 games played thus far. Kingfisher is 2-1 overall, with this only loss coming in overtime at Weatherford in early September. Mark Rogers, kick us off.
Pauls Valley lost a lot of good players. They have Caden Knighton is getting some playing time for Baylor as a true freshman. Jack Grimmett is at Purdue. He's out with rehabbing a little bit of an injury there, and so Pauls Valley had never beaten Kingfisher before last year. Kingfisher lost last year 43-40. This game's at Kingfisher, and I think the Jackets get some revenge on the Panthers here and open up district play with a win.
It's been kind of a rough start for new Pauls Valley coach Mason Anthony. He was the offensive line coach at Choctaw before he took over at Pauls Valley. 0-3, as you mentioned. They've scored just 13 points in 3 games. Good teams they played, though. Lindsay, Davis, and Weatherford. So good competition. Kingfisher has won their last 2. They hammered Bridge Creek last week 45-12. As we said, a great game a year ago. Pauls Valley 43-40 in a shootout. And I'm going to take Kingfisher to get a little payback this year.
Lane Jones, let's go to you.
Well, starting with football, we got to go with Kingfisher. The Yellow Jackets are going to be the team to beat, and they're playing at home. For the food pick, I do this based on the traveling team, where they're coming from. So I'm looking at the route from Pauls Valley to Kingfisher. If I was somebody from Pauls Valley, there's plenty of good places in Kingfisher, but one place I've been craving lately, if you take 152, like you can bypass by the airport, go on north on Council just a little bit, a little Mexican place called Tacos Don Nacho, get the Rico plate, bring plenty of napkins and plenty of Rolaids because you're going to need it. That's the food pick for that trip.
I like it. Dr. Johnson, let's go to you.
Yeah, please call me Eric. It's after hours. I got a backwards hat on. I'm definitely not in doctor mode right now. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to go chalk. I think I'm going to go Kingfisher. One of my partners is a Kingfisher alum, played football and baseball there, so I think I'd never get the end of it if I didn't pick them.
Jacob Diesehorst, Pauls Valley at Kingfisher.
Hey, district season is finally here, and we got matchups now that have a lot more on the line. Like the guy said before, this last season, this was a really competitive game. Pauls Valley had probably the best team they've had in a long time. I think they're in a little bit of a rebuild, kind of a new era, younger starters, less tested players. who might show some cracks, especially traveling on the road to Kingfisher, who's got a senior quarterback and Jet Birdwell, and talented skill players, Brett Calametto, kind of a Swiss Army knife guy. Kingfisher's just got a good thing going so far this season, and just that one close loss to Weatherford. I think Kingfisher's one of the top teams in Division 1 3A, and I've got them a 21-point favorite at home, and I see them winning the game 38-15.
All right, the entire panel taking the Yellow Jackets. Let's go to Pick'em game number 2. It takes us to Class A2, District 3, where the 3-0 Central Sallisaw Tigers will host the 2-1 Wewoka Tigers on Friday. Central has found a way to win close games early in the year, but Wewoka had an impressive 34-22 win at Velma Alma 2 weeks ago before a bye last week. Tom, give us a preview. Wewoka at Central.
Well, Awoka has already matched their win total of a year ago. They had 2 wins last year, 2 wins already, including that, as you said, the impressive win at Velma Alma. That's a tough place to play. Darius Woods, he's a sophomore quarterback, had a big game against Velma, 6 of 8 for 95 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Another 103 yards and a touchdown on the ground in that ball game. Central Salisaw's 3-0 with wins by a total of 19 points over teams that are a combined 1-7. In a battle of the Tigers, I'm going to pick Wewoka in this Cat 5.
Mark Rogers.
I got to try tacos. Is it Don Nacho?
Yeah, Tacos Don Nacho.
I drive by there quite a bit, but I've heard it's really, really good. So I'm glad to hear that you recommend it because I trust you, Lane. Caden Boswell is doing a really, really good job with Wewoka. They'd won 2 games in the last 4 years. The last time they had a really good season was 10-1 in 2020. Tom mentioned Trey Woods, Ladarius Woods, Mike Pisa, Bill Stevens are some really good players at Wewoka that are doing a good job for them this year. This is a tough game. Wewoka's win over Velma really got my attention. I'm going to take Wewoka over Central, but I think this one could go either way.
Lane Jones.
Okay, yeah, football, I'm going to go with Wewoka as well. And then jumping on to the important stuff, the food side of it, it's a pretty good little drive from Wewoka to Sallisaw, but it will take you right through Shakota, Oklahoma. My dad used to be an assistant principal and athletic director there. And I remember when I got to go to June's in Shakota for the first time, I had a chicken fried steak, and that's all I've ever had every time I've been back. June's chicken fried steak in Shakota for the win.
Sounds good. Eric Johnson.
Yeah, I'm going to go Central Salazar. For my modest research, looks like they got some good depth, but looks like it's probably going to be a toss-up at the end of the day.
Jacobs, go to you. Wewoka at Central Sallisaw.
Yeah, this is one of those games that kind of hard to pick. I think these are 2 teams that we haven't got to talk about yet this season, and Central Sallisaw sitting pretty at 3-0, and Tom mentioned that they've played in a lot of close games. So I think that kind of cuts actually in their favor a little bit. I think the fact that they've won those close games will come in handy in a game like this. Wewoka obviously, coming off riding a big win, but then having to go on the road. Central's senior quarterback Braxton Goodson has been a star for them this season, and they're very talented up front. Their line play and physicality has been a difference in those close games. I think Central's defense will be tested by Wewoka, but I have Central a 8.5-point favorite at home, and I have them winning the game 30-20.
Yeah. So one of us ain't going undefeated this week like we did last week, right? Right, Jake?
Oh yeah, I wasn't going to mention that. Thanks for bringing that up, Tom. We did
I'll bring it up.
WewokaTigers.tv for that matchup. The announcers on that Score Network page do a fantastic job. Shout out to them. Let's go to 8-man football for our next pick'em game, Class B. The Garber Wolverines are 3-1 on the season, with its only loss coming to Cherokee a couple of weeks ago. Covington Douglas 2-1 after a 44-6 win over Cashin's JV team a week ago, playing some 8-man football there in Cashin. Tom, tell us about this matchup.
Well, first of all, how many War on 74s are there? You've got what? Washington Purcell, you got Cashin Crescent. Any others?
There's some down south, I think.
I think there are two. Yeah. The one that I'm most familiar with is Covington Douglas Garber, 9 miles of Highway 74 pavement between them in eastern Garfield County. Both teams are, maybe in a little bit of a rebuild mode after losing quite a bit off of teams that made it to the state semis in their classes a year ago. Brian Smith has handled the Wildcats and given their quarterback position to a freshman, Matt Castile. He was 11 of 13 for 259 yards and 3 touchdowns last week against Ringwood in a big win. Garber's Aiden Johnson has thrown 12 touchdowns and no picks through 4 games. He's got some really good weapons around him. Caden Ramsey and Nick Nahara are productive receivers. Cord Southwick is rushing for over 100 yards a game. Covington Douglas has won the last 3 in the rivalry, including a good one last year that we broadcast in the Game of the Week. But I think that Garber has more weapons this time around, and I'm going to take the Wolverines.
Mark.
I did not go undefeated last week. Frankly, my picks have stunk this year. But you know what? I'm not going to back down now. This is a game, the War on 54, where I got murdered a couple of years ago by picking Garber when they lost 50-0.
Yeah.
But I am picking Garber again. No, this is nothing against Covington, who's had a great run. Love Coach Smith. Love it when he comes on here and comes on the show and picks. But I'm going with the Wolverines here to get the win over the Wildcats.
Eric Johnson, I know you've been watching a lot of 8-man tape out in western Oklahoma. Let's get your pick for Covington Douglas at Garber.
Yeah, these are tough. OCS was actually 8-man when I first showed up there, and I played for a little bit, and mostly middle school before I saw the light for basketball. It's crazy because these games can get out of hand really quick with the scores. I think I'm gonna have to go Garber. I don't really have a great reason behind it, but I think I'm gonna favor them a little bit.
It's funny, Eric says that, and you look at our Game of the Week last week, we thought it was going to be so good. Wacombas and Okeen beats them 53-8. So, yeah. We were done by halftime.
It did get out of hand, just not both ways.
Yeah.
Eric taking the Wolverines. Lane Jones, let's go to you.
Yeah, I mean, 74. There's a lot of good basketball being played up and down 74 as well. That's the house that Dusty Torrey built, and Will Jones added on to it. But you got Cub Doug, Garwatt, Dikla. I mean, I'm going to take Garber in this one right here. Here's the dilemma though. There's 9 miles between the two towns. So I don't know what you do for food. Did the Dairy Suite open back up? I don't know if that Sonic ever got built by that guy who said he was going to build it. 15,
Dairy
20
Suite.
years ago.
Dairy Suite is open, but I believe they closed. They're closing up at the end of the month for the season. But they got good burgers there. They reopened last year. Pretty much all you've got is that Jiffy Trip right there at the corner by the football stadium in Garber. That's pretty much it. Whatever's in the roller there,
Yeah, those burritos there are pretty good in a pinch at about 11:30 at night. But yeah,
Maybe
go
pinching
for
something
Dairy
after
Suite
that.
for the win. Garber with the football, Dairy Suite for the food.
Hey, Wayne, I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but Coach Hardaway did publish a food blog today regarding his trip to the state fair last week. He was also on Mark's show on the Sports Animal Thursday or Friday, I believe, talking about how he devoured 3 poncho dogs. So any comment? I don't know if you've had a chance to even read Coach Hardaway's blog yet.
So I haven't read his blog, but I did listen to him, and it's Hardaway. He's experienced. He knows what he's doing. You can tell, looking at him, he looks better now, but he's got the food. The guy can write too. How about that? That's impressive. He's pretty talented. But yeah, his food picks are always money. So just listen to whatever he says as well.
I do have some intelligence telling me the Dairy Suite is still open in Covington. So
Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
Cub Doug at Garber, Jacob D. Sourced.
Hardaway also had a pretty sweet baby hook and scoop shot.
Yep.
Between him and Devin Nightingale, two guys with the best hands, big guys in high school basketball in North Oklahoma. The fact that Adam got to be their point guard doesn't even seem fair, and that Matt got to shoot 23s a game. Garber, Cov Doug, man, this is a great rivalry every year. I feel like you're picking one way or the other every year as one of the teams is, demonstrably better than the other, but I don't think that's the case this season. I think these are pretty two even teams. Um, Rivalry game, district game, lots on the line. Tom mentioned, Aiden Johnson, Caden Ramsey, Garber's talented skill players. Covington Douglas has Grayson Marler, the running back, who's averaging over 100 yards a game. And then they have Cooper Wheeler, who's averaging over 10 tackles a game. And so this game's going to come down to turnovers. I think who protects the ball, who doesn't. I expect a high scoring game. I got Garber a 6.5 point favorite at home. And I think Garber squeaks out a win in this rivalry this year, 34-30. But just barely. Cub Dug with a backdoor cover.
Two Skordle Network schools in that matchup. Love both of those towns and those fans. Skordle.tv, Skordle app, cdwildcats.tv, garberwolverines.tv. Watch that matchup for free. It's got a pick'em game number 4. The Chandler Lions had an impressive 32-7 win over 4A Clinton last week. The Lions will have another tough test this week, traveling to Tahlequah to take on the Sequoia Indians. Sequoia 3-0 on the year and have put up big offensive numbers in each game thus far. Mark, who wins in Tahlequah on Friday?
Well, I can't get a Chandler game right. I picked against them last week. They embarrassed me. I chewed out Lugnut on this on Saturday because he rope-a-dope me and told me they weren't going to be very good this year. They don't have very many players out. So, the natural tendency for me would be to try to backtrack and pick Chandler this week just to atone for the poor picks that I made last week. But not so fast. That's not what's happening. I'm going to go with Sequoia here. Creighton Sapp, Hudson Hendricks. Hudson Hendricks' coach's son. Believe that he has had a great start to the season. 3 touchdown receptions in the game last week. They've absolutely annihilated some of the teams that they've played. They had a very favorable comparative score in their game against Prairie Grove, Arkansas, to Coweta, which is a top 6-7 Class 5A team this year. So I think Sequoia Tahlequah is very underrated in Class 2A. They're, I think, going to be a factor and have a chance to have some success in the playoffs. So I'm going with the Indians in this game.
Tom Nelson.
Well, this is a big game for that second first-round home game in 2A1 District 4. Keep in mind that Metro Christian is in this district, so I think everybody else is playing for second. The coaches picked Chandler second and Sequoia third before the season, and the Lions have had 2 really good wins over Stroud and Clinton and an ugly loss to Lone Grove. Sequoia is 3-0, but the teams they've beaten are combined 1-8. The Lions will have to contain the passing game. Creighton Sapp has thrown for over 250 yards a game and tossed 5 touchdown passes against Keys last week, and I think they will contain him. Chandler made me look good last week, and I'm going to ride at the Lions again this week.
LJ.
I'm going to go with I'm going with Sequoia in this game, and I feel that. I listen to Tom and Mark right there, and after hearing that, I'm going with Sequoia. So food-wise, I know it's a little south of town, but if you're coming from Chandler, go all the way into Tahlequah. You can't go wrong with Salmonella's. Any of the pizzas, that's all I've ever had there. Don't let the name fool you. The pizzas
That's a tough
are
name.
legit.
That's a tough name.
Salmonella's for the win.
All right, we'll take your word for that on that one, Lane. Let's go to you, Eric.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Sequoia. Seems like even though their opponents may have not been the highest regard, they're just putting up a ton of points. I think I'm gonna go with that and keep their hot offense going.
Jacob Easorst.
Yeah, this is if you go to Salmonella, make sure you take your Tylenol before you go. But this is going to be a great game. I promised myself before tonight's show I was not going to let lug nuts or a hang over me and cloud me from making an objective pick in this game. But last week I picked Chandler because of Lugnut and they won. So now I'm confused. Should I trust my instincts or should I bend to the pressure? It's a hard decision. But I did my research. Aiden Armand Trout, the senior running back, outside linebacker for Sequoia Tahlequah. Hudson Hendricks, who was mentioned already. And then a couple of sophomore running backs, Shaston Duncan and Ridge Black Bear. Just a lot of talent on that Sequoia Tahlequah side. Chandler didn't look so good when they went on the road to Lone Grove a few weeks ago, and I think home field is going to be a difference in this game too. I've got Sequoia Tahlequah, a 5.5 point favorite at home, and I think they actually win the game going away late, 35-21.
Tom's on an island again. Here we go.
Yeah, I do that. The Prairie Grove team that Sequoia beat earlier this year, they lost by 1 point to a team that beat Edmond North at the beginning of the season, and they lost to Coweta. So they've got some experience transit property wise against Oklahoma teams. So I just think that Sequoia is a school that has players come in and come and go. This is a group that's been kind of building for the last couple of years. I think this is going to be a really good team this year. So we'll see. Chandler's proven resilient so far this season. It was that loss at Lone Grove is a little bit. It doesn't kind of fit with the other two wins. So we'll see what happens on Friday.
Skordle.tv, ChandlerLions.tv for that matchup. All right, we're halfway done with our network games. Just got to pick 'em game number 5. Back to 8-man football in Class B as OBA travels to Waukomis to take on the Chiefs. OBA 2-1 on the season after a 16-6 win over Geary last week. Waukomis in that game that Tom called also 2-1, but really struggled at O'Keene a week ago in the loss to the Whippets. Tom, you got to watch them up close and in person last week. Tell us about this matchup.
Yeah, well, Waukomis is a much better team than they showed last week. Sometimes in 8-man football, this happens where team gets on a roll and the snowball rolls downhill. That's kind of what happened in this ball game. Waukomis had over 200 yards of offense in that first half against the Whippets, but they turned the ball over 4 times. I mean, they just had a couple of decent drives that were thwarted by turnovers, and O'Keene turned them into points. Ethan Bruggeman, he's a good back, had about 100 yards rushing in the half. He's averaging 13 yards a carry on the season. He's a good back. OBA has a couple of wins, including one over a Savannah team that in their next game beat Wilson Henrietta 88-84. Of course, Wilson Henrietta really good a year ago and picked to be pretty good this year. OBA might be a little better than I thought they were going to be, but I think the Chiefs are going to be fired up for this one after last week, and they're playing at home. So give me Waukomis in this one.
Mark.
Yeah, I'll go with Waukomis also. That was a tough test last week. And again, we're talking about how good Class B Division II is this year. It's loaded with a bunch of good teams. It'll be fun to see what happens in the playoffs there. But I'll go with Waukomis over OBA.
Eric Johnson, OBA at Waukomis.
I think I'm gonna keep the trend going, go with the home team, Waukomis at home.
Eric, taking the Chiefs. Lane Jones, let's go to you.
Yeah, I'm going to take Waukomis as well. And this is 2 Enid area games that are on this list, so I have to go with 2 food choices. Friend of mine, Steve DeGraffenreid, who's owner of Boomerang Diner, I know they opened one up in Enid recently. So if I'm coming from OBA, I got to swing by and check out Boomerang Diner. Get burger, get breakfast, whatever. You can't beat breakfast for lunch, breakfast for dinner, breakfast for a snack, whatever. So give me Boomerang.
Enid is a 3 boomerang town, 3 boomerang town now. Can you believe? And we're big time. Don't have a movie theater, but 3 boomerangs.
Wow.
And a Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Jacob Deesehorst, go to you. OBA at Waukomis.
Yeah, this is another rivalry game, district game. Start the season off. Both these teams want to start district playoff on the right foot. OBA has a sophomore Cal Kayot now at quarterback, coach's kid. He's got to step up, get more comfortable, and he's got some leadership around him. But OBA is pretty slight on seniors, I think, this season. I think they have just 2 or 3 seniors out and getting a lot of underclassmen getting experience, which will bode well for them, in the years to come. Waukomis, on the other hand, both these teams have gotten blown out once. OBA by Sealing 46-0, and then Waukomis last week against O'Keene. Uh, I think Wyatt Smith and Mark Mitchell, the veteran presence will be a factor in this game for Wacomas at home, and a game that'll probably be a little closer than most of us think. I got Wacomas a 12.5 point favorite at home, and I think they win the game 34-20.
All right, everybody taking the Chiefs.
Did you know Career Tech trains Oklahoma's essential workforce?
Or that Career Tech is Oklahoma's leader for Earn While You Learn apprenticeship opportunities?
Did you know Career Tech programs are a low to no cost educational path?
Or that Career Tech can help you learn by doing.
So when Oklahoma needs us,
we'll be ready. So let's go to pick'em game number 6, 2A2, District 2. The Beggs Demons, 2-1 so far in the season with wins over Henrietta and Okmulgee. Beggs will host the 1-2 Community Christian Royals on Friday. CCS really struggled against Washington and Mount St. Mary's in their first 2 games, but had a big 35-17 win at Cassidy 2 weeks ago before a bye week. Mark Rogers, who gets the win in Beggs on Friday?
I will go with Beggs. And this one, I know that Community Christian, those are 2 tough teams that they've had to play. The Mount is off to another really, really good start this year. We'll see if they can kind of keep their momentum going. So I'm going to go with Beggs.
Tom.
Yeah, Community Christian, we talked about it, lose to Washington and Mount St. Mary, beat Cassidy a couple of weeks ago, had a last week off, which is great when you can schedule that bye week right before district play. You know, Beggs played last week. They blew out Okmulgee 55-8. Beggs won this game by 10 a year ago, and I see a similar result this week. Golden Demons for the win.
Lane.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Beggs as well. There's two games on here for restaurants where I have not been. But ironically, just in the last week, somebody was telling me about this, and this is the second time I've heard it, about a restaurant in Beggs called a restaurant in Okemah called The Founder. So you're coming from Community Christian, you're going to go right through Okemah on your way to Beggs. So stop in Okemah, try The Founder. I've heard a lot of people talking about it, and a buddy of mine talked about it last week and said it's excellent.
What do you get at The Founder? Any intel on what we should order?
So if you look at their menu, I mean, I don't want to recommend something that I haven't had, but the menu is pretty select. I mean, they have steaks are all over the menu, a lot of bar food. The ribeye the 16-ounce ribeye looks pretty good. So, but it, I haven't been there, so I'm gonna have to go off some friends' recommendations.
Eric Johnson, let's go to you, Community Christian at Beggs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds like smart money is with Beggs. Community Christian has some good momentum, but going 2 Beggs and Beggs has been rolling.
Jacob.
This is gonna be a fun game. This is one of those district games that early in the season, but it's gonna have big consequences for late in the season and playoff seeding. Community Christian, I have to mention one of their players, young man by the name of Carson Raycroft, whose dad, Brandon Raycroft, is one of the greatest Cherokee chiefs of modern time and a good buddy of mine, a big OU guy. And his son, I know, is only a sophomore, but I know he's one of their defensive playmakers and one of their linebackers. But Beggs has a lot of playmakers too, and they have a home field advantage in this game. Trey Ross, I know he's a big play threat. Jordan Wesley, senior, on both sides of the ball. He's a playmaker. And then there's going to be a really good matchup up front. CCS has James Peterson, the offensive lineman, who's getting some D1 looks, going against Aiden Taylor, who's a big-time pass rusher for Beggs. I got Beggs a 10-point favorite at home. I think it stays closer than that, but I do think Beggs just has a little bit too much talent on the skill player wise, and they win the game 28-20.
Have to give a nod here to Skordle producer Corey Rogers. His son plays football at CCS. So Corey does so much for Skordle. We really appreciate him, and best of luck to him and his son this week at Beggs. All right, let's talk about our first Skordle game of the week as we go to Class 4A District 4. The Sallisaw Black Diamonds are 2-1 on the year after a big 57-19 win over Eufaula a week ago, which we talked about on the show last week. The Hilldale Comets have dropped their last two games to Fort Gibson and Claremore after an opening week win over Edison Prep. Hilldale will travel about 50 miles or so to take from Muskogee to Sallisaw to take on Coach Tyler's team. Mark, I believe you are calling this game. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Preview.
That is correct. I like Sallisaw in the game. The only loss for Sallisaw this year was to a really good prior team in the season opener. Hilldale's losses are quality losses to two good teams. Fort Gibson's got a good squad this year too. So 4A4 it's the toughest district in Class 4A this year. I think after you get past Tuttle and Elgin, and I think it's Tuttle then Elgin in that order, then I think the next best teams are all in Class 4A4, the top four: Poto, Ada, Sallisaw, Broken Bow. So it's going to be and Hilldale's right there too. So this will be a good game, but I'm going to go with Sallisaw.
Who's in the booth with you on Friday, Mark?
That's a good question. Who's in the booth?
Maybe you need Lane Jones, or get somebody over there with you.
I assume there'll be somebody with me in the booth. I'm not sure though.
All right, let's go to Tom Nelson, Hilldale at Sallisaw.
Yeah, this district is super competitive. Probably going to be a pretty good team that misses the playoffs. You've got Ada, Sallisaw, Broken Bow, and Poto have all been ranked in the Oklahomans' top 10 poll in the past couple of weeks. What I'm saying is every game counts. We all picked Sallisaw to roll over Eufaula last week, and they did. Hilldale can put points on the board, but they have a hard time stopping anybody. The last 2 weeks, they've lost at Fort Gibson 37-28, lost to Claremore 39-33. Sallisaw's Jackson Harris's eyes are lighting up. I think he's going to run around over and through the Hornets, and Sallisaw gets the win.
Mark, I'm told you have Sean Meek with you on Friday.
Oh, very good. Outstanding.
Right, let's go to you, Eric Johnson, Hilldale at Sallisaw.
Yeah, admittedly don't know a ton about these schools, so I think I'm going to err on the side of picking the home team and the team with a little bit more momentum and firepower.
Taking the Black Diamonds, let's go to you, Lane Jones.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Sallisaw as well. Food-wise, you'll be going right through. If you're coming from Hilldale, you'll be going through Muskogee. One of the first barbecue places I ate at in Muskogee a long time ago was Runt's, and people still talk about Runt's to this day. So stop in at Runt's, get you some good old Eastern Oklahoma barbecue.
Jacob Desource.
This is gonna be a really good football game. Hilldale, don't let their record fool you. 1-2. You know, those are two losses to Fort Gibson and Claremore. Those were really close, high-scoring games that could have gone either way. And then they had a really good one over Tulsa Edison. Sallisaw hadn't had any trouble putting up points. Hilldale has had a little bit of trouble stopping people, and that's kind of a recipe for not good barbecue, so to speak, in Sallisaw this week for Hilldale out of Muskogee. I just think Sallisaw is just a little bit more experienced team, a better team, stronger on both sides of the ball. I have them an 8-point favorite at home, and I see this game a push, but Sallisaw winning 28-20.
Everyone taking Brandon Tyler's Sallisaw Black Diamonds to win on the panel tonight. Let's go to our second Skordle game of the week. This is a big game to open district play in Class 2A1. District 1, Oklahoma Christian 3-0 on the year and is yet to give up a point after 3 dominant shutout wins over CHA, Cassidy, and Crossings. Chisholm Longhorns fell in 0 week to Metro Christian, but have rebounded nicely with 2 wins over Hennessy and Newkirk. Tom, you're calling this game on Friday with Adam Diesehorst. What can we expect to see in Enid on Friday?
Well, first of all, I'll say I appreciate you guys keeping the sick guy close to home as I get a home game a couple of miles north of my house here. I'll be at Longhorn Community Stadium. And these two teams have played every year since 2018. OCS has won 6 of those 7 games. But last year was a great ball game. OCS won 25-22. Cameron Condor is the new coach at Chisholm. He came from Enid High, and he's got the Longhorns off to a good start, 2-1. First game out, they hung with Metro Christian for a while. They led Metro Christian at the half in that game before losing 35-18. Since then, they've won big over Hennessy and Newkirk. OCS hasn't given up a score yet. 3 shutout wins over Christian Heritage, Cassidy, and Crossings by a combined 118-0. Creighton Allen is completing over 80% of his passes for 217 yards a game. His favorite target is Eli Winter. They got a good blend of skill players and good linemen, which allows them to do a lot of things on both sides of the ball. Chisholm quarterback Connor Quintero, he's been on point. He had almost 400 yards passing and 5 touchdowns against Tennessee. He's got several really good receivers to throw to. He can spread it around. The key Friday night is for their big, experienced offensive line to keep Connor clean and give him a chance to find those guys. These are 2 teams that look pretty similar. Had a chance to go back and forth today with assistant coach Rick Luchin for Chisholm, and he thinks that this should be a really good ball game with a couple of teams that look pretty similar. And Longhorn Community Stadium should be rocking on Friday night, and I'm looking forward to calling this one.
Mark Rogers, OCS at Chisholm.
I think it's pretty close. I mean, in this district, each of these teams, I think, could host a playoff game. The winner of this probably does host. So I will go with OCS on the road in a tight one.
All right, we've got to go to OCS alum, Eric Johnson.
Yeah, so I think Tom said a lot of it. Creighton Allen just putting up an insane amount of points, and they're not giving up any at all. Obviously, I think the competition's a little different than at Chisholm, but I go with OCS. Creighton's dad's a friend of mine. It sounds like he's eating and breathing football this year, so I got to go with the alma mater.
All right, let's go to Lane Jones, another food pick for Enid.
Yeah, and as a former resident of Enid and a former resident of Carrier, which is part of the Chisholm School District, I'm going to go with the Longhorns in this game. But for the food, there's so many good places in Enid to eat, and I know Adam, I wish he could give some of his opinions on here too, but I know one place that's one of our favorites is the Flamingo. Stop there at O&K Garriott and Van Buren. You can't go wrong. Frito chili pie, chili cheese nachos. Go see Pam for a pickled egg. Double meat cheeseburger. That's my go-to, is the double meat cheeseburger. And then a side of just Ruffles potato chips.
And
so
they've expanded their menu over the past couple of years too. They're not just cheeseburgers and chips anymore. They've got a lot of different stuff on the menu now too.
I heard they have tater tots. Is that correct?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I still got to go with the chips because that's what, that was their thing
That's
until
tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there with Adam a few times. He always gets a single patty cheeseburger, which is very disappointing. But got to go double patty.
Double meat.
Got to go
double meat, double cheese.
All right, Jacob Beashorse, go to you. OCS at Chisholm.
Yeah, OCS has been impressive, man. They come out and run the gamut, so to speak, on the 3 private schools they've played. Christian Heritage, Cassidy, and Crossings have been no match. CS, his offense has been explosive and defense has been stingy. Chisholm's shown they can play with top competition in Class 2A, Class 3A. They, hung tight with Metro before Metro pulled away late, and then had a couple of really huge wins, blowing out Hennessy, which I think has surprised some people. That score, 53-14, and then Newkirk blanked them 41-0. Just going to be a really good football game. A lot on the line for these 2 district opponents in 2A1, District 1, I believe. I thought this game was at OCS, and if I come to find out when the show started, it's at Chisholm. That changes everything. I know these 2 teams played a very close game last season, with OCS coming out on top. Just too much firepower, I think, for OCS. Chisholm's got a really good team. They got a really good hard-nosed defense. It'll be close at halftime, probably tied, but I got OCS an 8-point favorite on the road at Chisholm, and I think they pull away late, 34-21.
Maybe next year I'll get more than 20, 30 miles away from Enid, hopefully.
Well, we're all pulling for you as always, Tom. I know you're doing well. Happy to report that on Skordle on the Pay Dirt Pick'em show. Tom is winning his battle, and we're really happy for you, Tom. So
Thanks. I appreciate that.
all right, we that's our 8 network games you can watch for free on the Skordle app, Skordle.tv. We're going to quickly rapid fire discuss 4 of the non-Skordle network games in the state of Oklahoma this week. Cannot watch these games on Skordle, but these will be really good matchups. Let's start with probably the biggest game in the state this week, Bixby at Jinx. Mark?
Jinx has beaten Bixby a couple of times. They had the big stunner and ended their long winning streak, but I'm going to go with Bixby here. It'll be a good game. And Bixby's just been so tough this year, but both these teams are have a chance to meet again somewhere down the line. So I'm going to go with Bixby.
Tom?
Yeah, Bixby showed how far above everyone else they are by destroying Choctaw 57-7 in the battle of your 6A number ones last week. Carson Kirby was 13 of 15, 179 yards and 4 touchdowns. Bixby's the big dog now, and they will get their big win in this series.
Eric Johnson?
Yeah, I think both obviously impressive teams. Probably gonna go pretty far this year, but I think Bixby edges it out.
Lane Jones?
Yeah, I got to go with the Spartans as well. So give me Bixby, Savastanos and Bixby on the east side of the road. Got to stop and get some pizza there.
Big Cubs fans there at Savastanos, so really appreciate that. I know Mark likes to get some pizza there and watch the Cubs game that's on. So yeah, big Savastanos fan. Jacob Esource, go to you. Bixby at Jinx.
Man, Bixby on paper just looks unbeatable, don't they? The computer rankings make them over a 2 touchdown favorite in this game. I just don't see it that way. Jinx, just battle tested. They won 2 slugfests, one against Owasso, one against Union last week, 48-30. They've showed they can win high scoring games, low scoring games. They better be ready to play another high scoring game this week because Bixby has firepower. This was such a hard game to pick. I had to ask my friend MJ, my AI friend, who he thought would win. And he picked Jinx 31-28 in a big upset because I got Bixby an 8-point favorite. And so, man, it's hard to go against my AI companion here. He may never give me a straight answer again as long as I live if I don't go along with him. So I'm picking Jinx in an upset, and I'm taking Jinx 31-28 just like MJ, my AI friend's pick. So, and plus, speaking from experience, Jinx has a better home field advantage than even OU does with the refs usually. How that fumble got overturned, I have no idea. And it wasn't just because I bet on Auburn, which I had him +7, so it pushed anyway, on a backdoor safety. I mean, give me a break. Anyhow, I think Bixby and Jinx could beat OSU, just to go full circle here. But I think Jinx wins this game, and then I could see a rematch in the state title when these 2 teams end up on opposite sides of the bracket.
All right, let's stay in Class 6A. Owasso at Broken Arrow. Mark?
Wow, tough one. Broken Arrow, they beat Mustang. Also lost a close one to Fayetteville. It was really, really good in Arkansas. Owasso's losses are to Jinx and Bixby, but I'm going to go Owasso here. But I think this is a coin flip.
Tom?
Yeah, both teams come in, took last week off. So they come in rested. Owasso get those big losses to Bixby and Jinx out of the way. And BA had that nice win over Mustang, that game we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Owasso's won 7 of the last 8 in the series, pretty convincingly for the most part. I'll go with Owasso in this one.
Lane Jones?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Rams in this one. That's going to be a good football game. But yeah, I'll take Owasso. Food-wise, this is the other place I have not been, but I've had several people recommend this place. It's on Main Street in Broken Arrow. It's called Sherry Ann's Trattoria, Italian food. It
Fancy.
looks amazing. I don't know if any of you have been there, but I've had several people recommend it. My cousin who lives over there, he's an attorney in the Tulsa area, and he swears by it.
All right, Eric Johnson.
Yeah, I'm gonna go BA at home. Seems like both coming off some rest. They've got a little bit more momentum coming in with some wins, so I'm gonna go BA at home.
Jacob Owasso at Broken Arrow.
This is going to be a battle of the big boys up front. Taj Overton is probably the number one ranked player in Oklahoma, the defensive lineman for Owasso. He's going to have his hands full, though. BA's offensive line is their strength with J.J. Brashears, 6'4", 300, Caden Moody, 6'6", 300, and Tristan Silva, 6'5", 290. That's a pretty stout high school offensive line that Broken Arrows skill players like Octavian Robertson, for example, the junior running back gets to run on, and I think Overton's going to see a lot of double teams. I think this game's going to stay close. Owasso, played Jinx close, 31-21. Man, hard game to pick, but I have to agree with Dr. Johnson on this. I'm taking BA to win in an upset because I've got Owasso a 6-point favorite on the road at Broken Arrow, but I picked Broken Arrow last week to beat Mustang, and is this game at Broken Arrow?
Yeah.
At Broken Arrow.
That makes it easy. Broken Arrow in an upset, 31-30.
All right, two more games to pick. We talked about Choctaw having that really tough matchup a week ago with Bixby. They are hosting Piedmont this week. Tom Nelson starts off Piedmont at Choctaw.
A couple of teams that are licking their wounds. While Choctaw was getting hammered by Bixby, Piedmont was struggling to move the ball against Norman. They lost that game 37-7. This game was a shootout last year. They put up let's see, about 96 points. Choctaw won 56-40. I think Choctaw is going to get well this week.
Mark.
Yeah, it's been a tough schedule for Choctaw. So I think Choctaw wins, but Piedmont will have a chance to play pretty close. The Norman High team is very good. That's not a bad result last week for Piedmont to lose against this Norman High team. I've got ranked in the top 7 in Class 6A Division I. So I'm going to go with Choctaw, though.
Eric Johnson, Piedmont at Choctaw.
Yeah, a little bit of a homer pick with the proximity of the city. I think I'm going to go Piedmont, though.
All right, Lane Jones.
Yeah, there are a couple teams over the last several years that have shown they have trouble stopping the flex bone. I think Choctaw is one of those teams. Give me Piedmont, and I have to take Piedmont, and because I live here, I'm on the school board. Jeff Hall will find a way. And food pick, just swing over east a little bit to Hera and hit up Arroyo's Mexican. It's a little strip mall at Hera Road in Reno. We found it during summer softball season, and you may not make it to the game if you hit the menu the right way. So that's my food pick.
Jacob Diesehorst, Piedmont at Choctaw.
Piedmont kind of got brought back down to earth a little bit last week playing Norman. Choctaw is the best 1 and 2 team in Oklahoma. I got ripped on my Facebook page the other day on my power rankings when I had Notre Dame ranked at 1 and 2. Some of my buddies were, how can you have Notre Dame ranked 1 and 2? Like, well, Choctaw's number 2 in the state, and they're 1 and 2. It's all about who you play and how you look on in that football game. And Choctaw, despite losing twice, is still one of the teams to beat in 6A2. And Piedmont, I think, that offense gives them advantages against teams. I agree that last season Choctaw did not do a good job stopping the run, and that's why the game got so high scoring. I think they improve on that. I think Landon Gatson, the senior quarterback for Choctaw, is the difference. Choctaw, just too much for Piedmont, and despite the homer picks from our guests, I know they're just trying to keep their clientele and their family and friends happy, understood, but won't go away happy coming home from Choctaw. Choctaw's a 2-touchdown favorite, and I think they cover 37-21.
All right, guys. Last pick of the night, Colcord at Wyandotte. Mark Rogers.
We had got one from the far northeast corner of the state in this one. Both these teams I like. I'm going to go Colcord, but I think that both these teams are definitely top 10 caliber. Salina is also pretty good in this district, so there's going to be some really good games up there this year.
Tom.
Yeah, they're both off to good starts, 3-0 with easy wins, but this is the first test for both teams. Wyandotte has a lot of experience and a good dual threat quarterback. His name's Hunter White. He's passed for 225 yards and rushed for 110 yards per game in their first three. Colcord has dominated this series. They smoked Wyandotte last year 48-0, but the district coach has picked Wyandotte higher than Colcord before the season, so I'm going with the Bears to get their first win over Colcord since 2011.
Last food pick of the night, Lane Jones.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Wyandotte with the football win. Kind of torn on. There were several restaurants that came to mind in Grove. One of them, a Mexican restaurant, when our buddy Will Jones used to live over there. I think we hit this once. I've been back another time. It's Casa Gutierrez. It's a little Mexican restaurant right there in the heart of Grove. Of course, if you want to veer off a little bit, go hit the Shebang right on Monkey Island. It's a little out of the way, but that's a great place as well.
Eric, let's go to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Wyandotte at home. Just looks like they don't have any trouble putting up points.
Jacob.
Speaking of The Office, I was actually watching Office reruns during the second half of the OSU game, as opposed to the second half. And I also boycotted
the best half.
Going to have to sit in the stands. It was just so bad. Things are not well in order right now, though. We still had a good time at Zeta Dad's Day. Gotta say hi to my college girl, Hannah Deese. Man, this is gonna be a good game. Colcord's, sitting high in the rankings. Had their way in this series of late. But Wyandotte's got the best team they've had in a while. Both these teams are 3-0. Both these teams are, top 10. This is such a big game for home field advantage in the playoffs. Really tough game to pick. I got Colcord a 4-point favorite on the road, and despite the fact that my computer friend thinks Wyandotte's going to win, I'm going to go against him this time so I can see how that goes next week when I picked it with him and against him in the other one, in these toss-up games like this one that's going to come down to turnovers, who plays better, who wins the line of scrimmage, and who's ahead on the scoreboard when the clock strikes 0 in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be Colcord, 28-27.
Casa Gutierrez looks like it's maybe one of the top places I've ever seen that's gone into a Captain D's. So I think that looked into the pictures, they've made an improvement there.
Is it closed? You're telling me it's closed?
No, it's just it's I think it inherited a former Captain D's.
Oh, it used to be. Yeah, it used to be something.
Yeah, right. This is not an original building.
No, absolutely
some
not.
other kind of casa.
Yeah. I think
you couldn't smell the grease when you went in there, like from the fryer from the fish.
It looks pretty good.
It was solid. I haven't been there in several years, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, it looks real good.
A lot of great food picks tonight from Lane Jones. As always, really appreciate every time Lane comes on the show. Eric, great having you on the show as well. Look forward to having you back on at some point in the future. And thank you, fans, for joining us on the Skordle Pay Dirt Pick'em Show. Be sure to tune in to Skordle.tv or the Skordle app so you can watch the network games we just discussed for free. Thanks, as always, to our sponsors, as you can see at the top of the screen. Enjoy all the football this week, Oklahoma. We'll see you next week.
Satisfy your sweet tooth with a Brahms old-fashioned banana split. Crafted with a delicious banana, split down the middle and filled with not 1, but 3 scoops of Brahms premium ice cream flavors. To complete this masterpiece, all your favorite toppings are poured on each scoop to bring it all together in a perfect harmony of flavor. Treat yourself to an old-fashioned banana split at Brahms, where every spoonful leaves you wanting more.